around. We haven't been as lucky to get the cold fronts around Christmas. Sometimes they've been coming a bit later.
Yeah.
But it's been looking promising, I gotta say. The 2010s are closing off well.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too.
No, I mean, seriously, think about it. We talk about the 90s. We
Yeah.
talk about 90s and 80s like it was so long ago. It's like we are closing off a decade. That's
I know because
a little mind-boggling for me.
I know, and then like because like I'm born at the beginning of the 90s, so like the 20s for me also is gonna be a different decade coming pretty soon.
Yeah, so all right, there you go. Make the most of the end of your decade. But we got to keep moving in our show, and it's time for some morning motivation, and that means our eye opener. And our eye opener taken from dailyom.com goes like this. The soul is the purest expression of an individual and is not bound by physical forms or fleeting emotions. When we want to see deeply into the heart and mind of another person, soul seeing, also called soul gazing, allows us to see their soul. The soul is the purest expression of an individual and is not bound by physical forms or fleeting emotions. Through a simple art that involves looking deeply into a partner's eyes, soul seeing can show you a person's inner beauty that you might otherwise miss. It is possible for someone who appears cold to have a warm, giving, nurturing soul, or someone of average appearance to have a beautiful soul. Soul seeing is a way of looking past shapes, sizes, attitudes, and behavior to see the real individual that lies beneath the surface. It allows you to see the true essence of another person, the radiance of their being, and their spirit within. Soul gazing.
That's a pretty powerful message. And I think as you're, as I was reading it and as I was listening to you again, I was actually thinking about how kind of difficult that is to do sometimes, because when we are like kind of caught up in like our everyday lives, or sometimes, I think maybe we've been discussing this the past couple of times about, mistakes we can make in perception and stuff. So I think ideally, soul seeing is something that we want out of all of our relationships, but that we'd be able to do it. But I was thinking, I was trying to reflect on how often I think that happens for me.
Yeah.
And I think it's really hit or miss, don't you think?
Yeah, well, two things come to mind when I read it. One is the importance of eye contact.
Yeah.
And I think that's one that I find so often that people can't or feel uncomfortable doing. And I've learned that more so on the show than anything else. And there's this really thin line between having eye contact and making people uncomfortable, and you have to be careful with it. But it's a way of being in tune with people beyond, because you can get distracted by words, you can get distracted very much by nonverbals, like your body language. But a lot of times if you pay attention to people's eyes, you can really find out so much. And, you ever met someone who, when you get to know them a bit, they're so different from what you first thought.
Yeah.
And then you can look into their eyes and suddenly you see their kindness, or you see their gentleness, or you see their thoughtfulness. And then that's all you see after that point. And I think for me, that's one of those moments where you have been able to, I don't know if you did soul gazing, but at least be able to tap into who that person is. And that's why there is that very cliche statement, the eyes are the window to the soul. Because there's certain things it just can't hide. And it goes from when you are feeling particularly down to being just, a very nice person. I think it really does show in one's eyes.
And I think it is also it's also important then, I should say, just going back to what you just said, it also helps if you're somebody who's really good at reading body language, because not everybody is. So even there's cues that people give in not only their eyes, but it can also affect or you know, their affect changes in terms of like the way they hold themselves, the way they have their position their arms. You know, that can tell you a lot about how a person is feeling as well. And you know, I think often one of the ways that we can like avoid those perceptions, misperceptions, I should say, is if we just kind of step back and like just be really present in the moment, take into account like what the other person is doing, maybe see how your behavior is affecting them. And then, you know, you could look at the eyes, as you said, read body language, listen to, you know, the other sort of physical cues that are going on. And you can really learn a lot about other people.
And I guess fundamentally all it means is just pay attention. Pay attention. Give. If you're going to spend time with someone, and it can be from, you know, a meeting to coworkers to family to your loved ones to the kids, pay attention. You know, the minute you stop, like, you watch only your phone and you're not paying attention to anything else. I mean, beyond the eyes, just like lift your eyes up and watch people. It makes a difference. All right, so that's the eye opener for this morning. And a little bit of chit chat as we move into the Christmas, well, we are in the Christmas season. And so our morning tea for this morning, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. Is re-gifting acceptable? And if you don't know what regifting is, it means that you would take the gift that you've received, save it, and then give it to someone else at another time. And would you be satisfied with a gift received that was originally given by someone else?
Well, the way I feel is I'm totally okay with regifting, from receiving and giving. I think that it makes a lot of sense and it's convenient. I mean, the alternative, I guess, is if you get something maybe that you're not going to use or maybe that you don't like too much, is that you're just going to have it sitting there. And I think regifting is a great idea, especially if the person that you're going to give it to is going to enjoy it or it's something that you know they'll like. And it depends on the context too, because it might be, if you're honest about it too, it can be great. So sometimes it might be, oh, well, you know, I got this. This isn't really me or something, but I thought of you, so something like that. I'm okay with it.
Have you re-gifted before, Gavin?
I have, of course.
Okay.
What do you think?
I'm so on the fence with this one.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I get it. Because, you know, we've all received gifts that we don't particularly like or want or we have no use for. Or maybe we already have. But it's my thoughts and my empathy goes towards the person who put in the thought to give me the gift. That's where I have like I feel a bit bad giving it away. I don't want them to feel that I don't appreciate it. You know, because I think I've said it many times. I feel like gift giving is about putting thought into what you give another person. So that's where I'm on the fence. I'm totally okay with the idea of it. I have a hard time with it. So I am one of those people who kind of have things stored around that I don't use because, you know, somebody gave it to me with thought and love and.
Well, I think what you're bringing up is something important as well because I also think that as well, but I think that the gifts that I would have tended to regift in the past would have been ones that I think not much effort went into giving me because I was like, why would I'd be like, why would somebody give me this? And I figure it's either they don't know me that well or they or it's obvious that they didn't think about anything, so they just you know, picked up something last minute. And then I think, well, I'm not really going to use this, so I don't really feel bad. I mean, I do appreciate, of course, somebody, you know, just even taking a little time, even if it is something last minute. I appreciate.
Clearly, you've been in this situation often.
I mean, I appreciate, you know, there is an effort, there, you know, even the smallest effort is appreciated. But I think at the end of the day, I'm just trying to be like, I guess, pragmatic about it and just.
No, and I get it. And just having unused stuff there that you know someone can make use of is really a bit selfish too.
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm on the fence. I've done it before. Like I've given more like loved ones, but beyond the family, I really haven't re-gifted anything. But just, you know, I have so much guilt over the idea of giving away something gave me.
But you know, sometimes I've done it like unconsciously because, you know, maybe you've got stuff like lying around your house or something, and maybe something that somebody gave you a long time ago, and then you don't remember that it was a gift from so and so. So you think, all right, well, you're thinking that you maybe have a party or Christmas or something's coming up, and then you say, well, I have to give, and then you're like looking through before we go shopping, and you're like, oh, but I could use
Yeah.
this. I have this. I'm not going to use this.
See,
And then
this
figure
is
out.
why it's easier when you shop in the States, for example, because you could just send the gift receipt
Oh,
and
yeah,
they can
see?
change it if they like it.
Yeah.
We don't have that option here. Anyway, we got to keep on moving into the show. That's what we think about regifting. There's no right or wrong answer. Tell us what you think, if you've ever done it before, and, if it's something that you subscribe to in the first place. But it is time for us. I'm pretty sure these people won't want to regift these gifts. And that's our Give Me 5 winners from night 3. So last night, we gave away 6 prizes, as we've been doing since Monday. And if you don't know how to participate in the game, all you have to do is come to Channel 5, get the coupons.
Yep.
Yeah? And then you fill them out. I thought you were asking me for coupons, Kevin. Get the coupons, fill them out, pay 25 cents each, and we put them in the tank, and then it's just up to your luck. Yesterday, the night before, we had 2 members of the same family win. But, I mean, some people put a lot more coupons in than others, so we got to be honest about that one. And some people have won with just putting in 2 or 4.
Yeah.
So it only takes 1. And think of it, you pay 25 cents, and you get maybe about 30 chances to win really great prizes. So it definitely is worth the effort. But last night winners of Gimme 5, and you can pick up your prizes on Monday, starting next Monday. It's Sadie Martinez Jr. from Hattieville. It's Don Usher from Belize City. It's Stephen Turner, also from Belize City. We have Elsie Mae Patterson from Belize City, Jessica Nall from Belize City, and Stephanie Lam. She seems to have won that grand prize there. There you go.
Super lucky.
These are the 6 lucky ones. Remember, you can still bring in your coupons right up to Friday. That's our final night of Gimme 5, so you may be able to win just on that final night. We'll give away the grand prize of the ticket, courtesy of United Airlines, to anywhere in the continental U.S. So that's a great prize to walk away with. Or you can get your shopping spree for $500. You could get all these other stuff that they have out here that we've been eyeing all week.
Yeah.
You never know. Just get your coupon, put it in, and remember, when your phone rings, you went through all the effort, you got the coupons, you filled them out, you paid the money. When the phone rings, after 8:30, during this week, there's only one thing you have to do.
Yeah, and I'd say give me 5.
That's it.
I know. So I think, if you're really into this competition, I would say just answer all your calls like that, just so you don't make any mistake.
Yeah.
And people will understand, right? So.
And if they make fun of you, don't worry. When you have your drinks or you have all the gifts that you won, they'll be the ones who are jealous then.
Exactly.
All right, we got to get moving into our show for today. We have, starting off this conversation, the representatives of the Belize National Teachers Union, and we're going to be talking, just summarizing this year and some of the efforts they've been making.
Yeah, and after we speak with the BNTU, we are going to be speaking with representatives of Napa Auto Parts. They're going to be talking to us all about their grand reopening, which is super, super exciting.
All right, and closing off, Christmas is coming up. Christmas parties have already started. And we have our friends from No Fear DJs coming in, and they're going to be talking about some of the Christmas hits that you can expect to hear this year.
That's going to be super fun.
So that's our lineup for today. We're going to go ahead and take that break. Before we do,
we do have one birthday shout out to send, and we are sending that to George Borden Jr. So from all of us here at Channel 5 and Open Your Eyes, we're wishing you a really, really happy birthday, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
That's right. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take that break, and we're going to get started with our show. So please stay tuned.
With over 100 years of
Night Spree, live on 5. Spread the word to those who haven't heard and let's get it on because you know you'll be entertained. Tell them.
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. Joining us for our first conversation are representatives from the Belize National Teachers Union. And we have with us here the president of the BNTU, Ms. Elena Smith, and also Keisha Flowers, who is the executive secretary of the BNTU. Ladies, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
So we're kind of talking about the end of the year and the year in review, we can term. And it certainly has been an eventful year for the BNTU. So maybe we can just start off the conversation by perhaps, Elena, you can give us your perspective. How would you describe how 2019 has been for the union?
Roller coaster?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good word to use. It has not been too much in our favor, if I should put it that way. We've had a lot of challenges with the ministry, and in particular, if you would recall, in July of this year, the memo that went out about renewing of license and then signing of contracts. And so that has been the biggest issue we've been facing up to today. We still continue with that, and our teachers are, as you might expect, not satisfied with what is happening. Despite the fact that the rules do speak to a time limit for a license and having a contract and those kinds of things, it's the unanswered questions that have them concerned as it relates to signing a contract, because I suppose as an attorney you know that contracts are binding documents and you have to be able to read and understand the fine print. And so those can be used against you. They can be beneficial, but they can be used against you as well. So that has been one of the greatest challenges that we faced this year in terms of, despite having legal advice in the first instance, our members still have a lot of concerns because some of them still believe that there is much more that needs to be answered and that we should not be accepting signing of contracts or renewing of license. And we say to them, we have a duty to advise them as per the rules.
Yeah.
And so we might not agree with what is being done right now, but we have to understand too that the rules are in place and those are what we are to abide by at this time.
Yeah.
So until there is a change, then we can do other things.
It's important to clarify, though, that the BNTU has in fact been on board with the licensing process from the beginning. I mean, you encouraged teachers to go about and getting their licenses. The challenge has been this year, if I recall, in being able to keep up with some of the commitments that come along with it. Is that the case?
Well, the issue really and truly was the fact that we knew that, or we know it's in the rules.
Yeah.
And we knew that it would come eventually.
Yes.
But because it was done so suddenly, there was no time for preparing or that kind of thing. And I do believe that maybe some teachers were not seriously looking at the fact that one of these days, these rules will be enforced.
Yeah.
And I think that is the issue, because they were not preparing themselves for the 120 hours for the 5-year period, because it has not happened in the last almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so, you took it for granted that, okay, well, they have not done it, so it won't happen. So, I won't bother.
And additionally, so because of the speed in which it's happening,
Yeah.
then there's different information coming from different areas,
Yeah.
causing even more confusion.
Yeah.
So that has been a challenge for us as well.
But the continuous development, the training, for example, training hours that have to be put in, especially during the summer. I remember a last conversation that you were talking about the fact that there wasn't a specific formula used to understand that if I attend this workshop or attend this training, that it will equate to X amount of hours towards my commitment.
And that's one of the huge frustrations that our teachers face.
Yeah.
Because every so often you're told something different. And so we've asked for clarity how do you go about calculating hours?
Yeah.
What's the formula? Give us a formula that our teachers can understand. If I attend this workshop, I'm going to get 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And we have not been able to get that. Yet we are hearing what teachers say to us, well, we've been told that if you do a one-day workshop, you won't get any credit for it. You have to do 2 days or more. But again, those are things that
But where's
we
that
don't
information coming from?
Right. We don't have those things in writing
Mm-hmm.
that we can share with our members, but yet when a workshop is called and they require or they request hours, that's what they are being told, I suppose, by TSC, no, sorry, the TEDS.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's confusing because how can I keep a record of my hours if I don't know how many hours I should be getting
Yeah.
for a day, 2 days, 3 days a week, that sort of thing.
And an additional challenge is what is being offered. Because when you look at what is there every year for teachers to access,
Yeah.
it's a challenge to actually acquire those hours.
Yeah.
Especially secondary school teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
They are in the worst situation.
Well, I mean, I guess that kind of begs the question as to how involved, or, you know, is there enough, or teachers or is the union given enough chance to give input and follow through when when challenges like this do arise? And at the end of the day, how functional, I guess, is or can these demands, or not demands, but can these concerns be addressed in an effective way? How are we doing then with that?
Well, I think we are all too familiar with the word consultation.
Yes.
And we know what that means, right? I come and I tell you and that's it. It's over. You could say whatever you want to say, you could share your concerns, but at the end of the day, I do what I want to do. That has been sort of the practice that we've seen. We have invited Mrs. Garbott from TEDS to come and present to us, you know, because again of the same concerns. Present to us, you know, how you go about doing this. What are the things that are acceptable as CPDs? You know, how would you give those hours? All of these things. And we were promised on her return that she would have sent us, you know, the format document to give us all of those information. Well, the ministry keeps talking about partners and partnerships and collaboration and all of these things. And when we try to do these things by inviting them to come and share with us so that we can give our teachers correct information, then they're either too busy, out of the country, or when they come and we expect a response from them after they return, then you have to be behind them begging and begging and begging and begging. We are still awaiting that formal document that specifies how we calculate our hours and what type of sessions would be accepted as CPD sessions. Because you can go online, but when I go online and I do a course, for example, let's say it's a 1 day or 2 day or maybe even a week, that kind of thing. What am I to submit to them for them to determine my hours? Do I submit my certificate? Do I submit my course outline? What do I submit? So these are questions that teachers have that we don't have the answers to. But we have to do CPD sessions. So teachers go and get these things done without knowing, is it beneficial? Am I going to be accredited for it? All of
And
those
to be
things.
fair, teachers have been doing their trainings in the summer without even the thought of CPD hours before. But now when it's a requirement to meet that target of 150 hours, that's where you're trying to distinguish how much of what you've done actually counts towards that. Now,
And as a union, we ourselves have tried to give CPD sessions to our teachers. We've approached TEDS. I believe on one occasion they've agreed to give us hours.
because they have to actually, it's almost like accredit
Right.
the
Correct.
training.
Right.
Yeah.
One of their concern is that we cannot be giving CPD sessions when they're giving CPD sessions, which for us is you know.
The teachers get 1 month off.
Right, they get a month off, and the sessions that they provide are not near enough.
Yeah.
So we try to supplement by offering to our teachers, but it's a frustrating process just to get those hours accredited to them.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that, because I'm trying to understand how a teacher would be able to meet that. We have how many teachers?
Yeah.
How many thousands?
Over
About
6,000,
6,000
countrywide.
teachers.
Right.
but not all of them though would qualify because it's only teachers who have a full
Full
license
license.
who
Okay.
qualify for CPD hours.
How many teachers would have a full license?
Probably over maybe 4,000 or so.
Right.
4,000
Just about.
teachers. 1 month, which is 4 weeks, that's about 20 days, right? Even if you do full 20 days, I'm trying to understand how you'd be able to cater to almost 4,000 teachers in just that 1 month block.
But it's not a month, though, Marlene, because remember now, ministry has 2 weeks in August.
Yeah.
Then you have a period for management, you have a period for the school, so it's not the entire month.
So it's 2 weeks.
It's like
Right.
2 weeks.
10
right.
days.
So- Correct. So hence the reason we said to them, you give some and we give some. That
Yeah.
if you can accommodate 100 teachers and we 100 teachers, we have 200 teachers covered in those 2 weeks as opposed to only 100 being covered. And then when the management does their workshops, hopefully they apply for CPD hours and those teachers will get a few more. So, you know, it's not that we want to compete with them.
Yeah.
We would just be assisting in allowing our teachers to be able to have access to these CPD sessions.
So the thing is, this issue was actually kicked down the road because it was a very pertinent issue in the summer when you were informed that it would have been enforced, the 150 hours requirement. You brought this very same concern to the ministry, and essentially they gave an extension. They said they would look at it. What's happened since then, from summer till now?
Well, so initially we had said to our teachers, don't proceed
Yeah.
with the renewal.
Yeah.
And then, as I said earlier, we sought legal advice, and then we gave them the go-ahead and say, okay, proceed with applying for a renewal and signing a contract, because two of them go hand in hand based on the rules. We met with our teachers, we've met with the ministry, and we've been raising all of these concerns, you know, concerns of tenure, concerns of benefits, you know, am I being a contract worker now? You know, all of these things we've raised with the ministry. And we kept saying to them, let us hold on this thing because there are too many unanswered questions. Let's hold on, hold off. And they refused to do so, and, you know, they kept with the process. Only to find out that 2 days before the deadline, a memo went out to say, halt the contracts. Now, we have been saying this to the ministry from the inception. The process is unclear, there are too many questions, let us wait. So I don't know if it is that maybe they don't want it to seem as if though, because the union is putting these things forward, you know, we are halting. And so they waited this long to do so. But it ended up exactly what we have been asking for. Let us wait, clarify all of these concerns, and then we proceed with a clear process. So now we are having a meeting with them on Monday. The meeting on Monday, they are doing some amendments to the education rules now. And we're aware of two of those amendments. One that has to do with the Christmas break. You remember that controversy is there. And then the other that has to do with contracts. So we are meeting on Monday, today is Thursday, and we don't have the draft amendment as yet. So we don't have any idea as to what really and truly the amendment will look like for us to be able to do justice to presenting our side of the case on Monday.
Which goes back to exactly what we said.
Do you even know what's on the agenda for the
There'll
amendment?
be a consultation process, and it's just to tell us this is what it is, and then we move on from there.
Well, yeah, that was going to be my question, because it's because it
Exactly.
seems to me that it's like, how is it that you'll be able to meaningfully contribute to the meeting,
Exactly.
take the, you know, suggestions or concerns of the teachers of the union, so that if, you know, changes or clarifications need to be made, they can happen, but it seems that you're not in the strongest position to do that.
Yeah, and just yesterday evening, we spoke to Dr. Baba and we said, you know, we are awaiting the draft because we need to do some revision. If it is that you say we are partners and you want to do something meaningful, then provide us with the documentation as early as possible. Give us a chance to do a proper review, that at the end of the day, when we get there and it is okay with us, we can genuinely say we support.
Yeah.
Because we are not just saying we don't agree just for disagreeing sake.
Yeah. You're a membership
Right.
organization.
And
Exactly.
it is not my position that I take there. Our branch executives have to hear from their members too. And so the time is very short for us to be doing these things. Teachers work all day. We can't take a time off to say, okay, we'll call a meeting today to review the amendments. and you can't get an attorney by the snap of a finger. Because you know that.
Yeah.
We have one to help us review. We were to meet yesterday, but she is busy. These things happen. Unless you have an attorney on retainer, you might be able to have them when you need them. But you know, if you just pick up the phone and call and say, we need you to do something for us, you have to wait because they're busy. So
And it's not like we even have something to present to the attorney to say, okay, do some research in this on this and give us some feedback.
But amending the education rules, because of what you're speaking about, I mean, you're talking about the legal aspect of it, it's because it's binding, you know, that
Right.
the teachers will be bound to it.
Right.
And you don't have the actual amendments, hard copies or soft copies, to say what it's going to be. But have you been told informally as to what is going to be on the agenda, what they're looking at in terms of being able to adjust? Is it only the CPD hours? Is it going to be more?
we were only told that there are going to be 4 amendments. 1, Christmas break. 2, contracts. What about those?
And 3 and 4?
We don't know.
We don't know.
You're operating
So-
like house meeting now?
Right.
Right.
So we are
Exactly.
aware now of the matter with the Christmas break because as you know what occurred earlier. The way the rules are written, this year's Christmas break would have been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And we said it has always been 3 weeks, and so we will not accept 2 weeks. And so a memo was sent out to say it will be 3 weeks. So apparently the advice was that the memo goes against the rules, and so it is illegal now to just say the rules say 2 weeks. Well, not specifically, but the way it's worded, it would give you 2 weeks, and now you are saying take 3 weeks. That is illegal. So we have to amend that portion of the rules now to be in sync with the memo that was sent out. And so we believe that that is the purpose of the Christmas break amendment. In terms of the contract, we can't say exactly what that will be. Whether they are going to put something in place that will say, you know, you don't have to sign contracts every 5 years, or whether it will say that your contract will cover all of your years, we don't know what it will say. So all we were able to do yesterday was to review the rules, look at every aspect that speaks to contracts, and see what those say. What are the concerns that we have on those currently, and then what change would we accept as a union, so that when we get to the meeting now, we have at least a sort of framework as to what we can accept and what we won't accept.
Or that you do your homework
Right.
and prepare to at least ask or get clarification on the motives or what the expectations are for the amendments.
Unfortunately, though, directly after our meeting, there will be a meeting with the NCE and the NCT VET, which are the 2 bodies which will sign off.
NC.
So, National Council for Education.
Okay.
And so, even if we go there with an entire laundry list of our concerns at a 9 o'clock meeting, by 10:30 they're meeting with 2 other bodies who will be the bodies signing off.
Approve it.
To approve,
Right.
So you're not being consulted, you're being informed.
basically.
Well, that begs, and then that also begs the question as to what, you know, how effective is the consultation and as a means to actually addressing the concerns of the union?
Right.
Right.
You know, how serious is the ministry in terms of partnering with us and fully going through these issues so that they don't come back to haunt us. And then at the end of the day, when the union takes action, you hear, oh, but you're not working with us because you know we've met with you. That's not how you do things. You have to have meaningful consultations, not just come and tell me this is what we want to do because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So, you know, we will see what will be the outcome. It is
You've
our
been
hope.
told that you'll get the amendments before,
Yes,
the proposed amendments.
yes.
Right.
Okay.
So we are hoping that you know, in our discussions on Monday, that you know maybe they would. We understand that the Christmas break one has to go through before the end of the school year because of the legalities of it. But so that might not be an issue for us in terms of the reason behind it, and depending on how it is worded.
Yeah.
The issue with contracts now, we have too many questions, too many concerns, and we think that you know, maybe they should push it back a bit. You know, hold off on it until we can get all of these issues sorted out and we can have a clear understanding, and then we proceed from there to the amendment.
And the fundamental issue that needs to be resolved is the formula that is involved in the CPD hours.
Because that has to do,
that's a requirement
portion
tied
of.
to your contract.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So if I have 149, and I've done more time than somebody else who has 150, I might not be able to sign my contract or get my license
Get your
renewed.
license
Right.
renewed. Yeah.
Right, and that is cause for termination. So
Yeah.
imagine I have 35 years of teaching experience and I'm unable to get 120 hours in a 5-year period.
Yeah.
No fault of mine.
Yeah.
You know, I attend everything that they offer and I still
Don't have
can't get
enough hours. Yeah.
120.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need to clarify, because you know more than anyone else that there are high expectations placed on teachers, and because you're molding young minds, and you don't want to. I don't think that it's a matter, from my understanding, that teachers aren't attending these sessions. It's just that they're attending, and you don't know how much it actually adds up to
What is worth.
before the time for renewal of license.
And in some cases, not even being able to get into the session.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is that the rules are very clear in that the ministry should have a database, a record of us and our hours that we
Yeah.
accumulate.
Yeah.
But the records that they have isn't accurate. And so for this renewal process, we had to go in and get our records. And so I got mine. And when I looked at mine, I have some missing sessions that I attended, and those are not accounted for. So if they are to be keeping my record, and you don't give me something that says, for this session you got 40 hours, for this one you got 5 hours, that I could keep my own record,
Yeah.
then how do I go in now? And if I go to a session and I'm not given a certificate, for example,
That's
what
true.
do I use?
Yeah.
What do I use to come and say, Marlene, you forgot to add this, I attended this one as well.
Yeah.
So this would give me another 20, so now I am over my 120.
Yeah.
I don't have that. So again, we've been saying the processes are not clear and things are not properly in place.
And even if I'm a teacher and I attended a training last year and I never did check the schedule to see what's accredited, what's not, what will contribute towards my hours, maybe I invested a week in learning how to recognize learning disabilities in children. A useful tool for me in the
Right.
classroom, but maybe it never carried any hours.
Exactly.
And I wouldn't have known that ahead of time. That's what you're saying.
Exactly.
So while I did the training, if it wasn't, they're never labeled, or from what I understand, they're not labeled, you get this much hours for
Right.
this training session. So I may put in the time, but not get it on my record.
Correct. You see, because before the school year closes, they should send out a list of what will be offered for the summer.
Yeah.
And so when that list goes out, it would be good if it would also include the number of hours per sessions, so that you know, for this one I get 50, for here I get, and then I can look at it as a teacher and say, you know what, this one is more beneficial to me, so I will take this one. Or you know what, I need so many hours, so I will take this one because I will be short. Or I can take A, B, and C,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But it doesn't happen, and we've been asking, and so we'll see
So
how
what
it goes.
happens at this point?
We meet with them on Monday because we need to know
Yes.
what the amendments would be.
Yeah.
So we have to have that. We will have that meeting on Monday, and depending on the outcome, then we will have to make some decisions as to the way forward.
Now, Senator Smith, just to be clear, aren't you a part of the Education Advisory Committee or something that has been assembled with a group of persons, educators? Your role with the union, because I'm trying to figure out if there's any other way of knowing how the amendments have come forward, if there's been any other informal consultation that has taken place.
Well, no, not that I'm aware of. I'm also a part of the NCE.
The NCE, thank you,
Okay,
yeah.
which we spoke about earlier. We haven't gotten it either.
So the NCE, who will sign off on these amendments after the meeting with the BNTU, which you're also a part of, you've not also gotten any
No.
indication as to the amendment there.
So, and it was through that council that I was aware of these 4 amendments that will be coming up.
And that you're meeting after the,
and then I
after the
asked,
union
and I
meeting.
said, could you indicate what those will be?
Uh-huh.
And then the minister said, well, it's a Christmas break. He said, and contract. He said, but I don't remember what the other two are, but I can remember those two for sure. And that is how I was able to then inform my council that this is what is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I reminded them, I said, listen, we were to have a meeting in the middle of November to review this process and see what would be the next steps. We have not had that meeting. What are we waiting for? You are going to be having some amendments now. Where is BNTU in this process? Yes, we're going to meet with BNTU. When are we going to meet? Because if you are saying that the NCE and the NCTVET will be meeting on this date, then we have to meet before that date. You can't meet with us after the fact and you say that you are consulting.
Yeah.
Because if you meet with them before, they would have signed off. Why are you meeting with me after that? There's no reason to meet with me after that because you would have signed off on it already. And so that was when, I was told by Dr. Bob, okay, well, we'll shift because yes, it makes sense. It's true what you're saying, and so we'll shift. But we'll just be the first one, and they'll be the second one. So hopefully, at that meeting, we are able to come to some understanding that it would be best to put out some of these things. Except if we find out that what it is that they are proposing to amend is how should I say, amenable to us.
But how do you know that if you are a membership organization? I mean, how will you be able to make a decision on this? But this has always been a challenge. And I want to be, I remember previous conversations with the Minister of Education himself. He always spoke of the extended time that it takes because you try to stay true to your membership by going back and consulting, making sure they're on board. So if there's a teacher in Sartaneja that has a concern, they have an opportunity to voice it. So how do you go into a meeting about amending the education rules and walk out saying yes or no, these are acceptable to us?
Well, this has been a live issue now since the summer.
Yeah.
So we've had several meetings with our membership. We've had a round of membership meetings where we are actually on the ground in each district consulting with our teachers. So we know what their concerns are.
Yeah.
And so that gives us an indication as to what would be amenable to them.
Yeah. On the contract issue at least. Yeah.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, we understand that the Council of Management is the decision-making body.
Yeah.
So you get your info from your teachers, from your members, and based on what they are saying, then you have
You can gauge more or less.
right a gauge as to say acceptable, not acceptable, and then you work between those two extremes. And so that is what, in these cases, that is what we would have to do, depending on how the amendments look. If they are not within that range, then we have to go back to our membership and say, listen, we don't have your worst case or your best case scenario. This is something totally different. We have to come back to our membership. And that has to be tabled then to the ministry to say, listen, we don't have this mandate. We have to go back to our members. And then we'd have to call an emergency meeting quickly. And teachers would then have to be the ones to say, listen, this is of interest to me. It's short notice, but I have to be there and make the effort to be there.
So that's the question I'm getting at. So if you go into this meeting on Monday and you find out what the other two amendments are, and it's something that you say, you know what, we need to consult membership. We need to be sure that they are on board with this, because they may approve it,
Right.
or they have concerns. But will you be able to stop a ball that's already rolling? I mean, you have the meeting with the NCE right after. It seems that it's just going to continue forward with or without your approval.
And I think one of the important things that we have to note is that the members, most of the members who sit on NCE and NCTVET are not persons in the education field. So I'm not saying that they don't know about education.
Yeah.
But the effect of what we will be doing, sometimes you might have legal experience or training. So you can read a law, you can read a rule, and you can look at it and say, okay, legally this is correct, the wording is fine, everything. But the implications for me, the teacher, is what you won't understand because you don't do that job. And so taking these things to NCE and NCTVET, while persons there know about education, you know, we have to have our children trained in skills and we have to this, they know those general things, but they might not fully understand how these changes would impact our teachers.
How they're executed. Yeah.
Right.
And that is the concern, because again, there are only a few of us who are around the table who are actually educators. So we would be able to, you know, we would have a better insight as to the impact of these things on our teachers.
Well, it would seem that it you know, when it comes to making decisions and stuff like that that do directly affect people at that level, it would seem necessary, I mean, to most people, that you would need to include them as a stakeholder from the very beginning. So it's you know, concerning and surprising that perhaps you know, when you have an important meeting, you know, coming up on Monday, that, you know, there's a lack of information or you know, other sort of logistical errors. So how do you you know, what's, you know, looking forward, what would be the best case scenario then for the union?
And that is why it always seems as if though we're fighting. Because eventually that is what it boils down to. You have to, you know, try to use some of your might to get, which it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. If you talk about us being stakeholders and partners in education, then we should not have to be fighting to get our foot in the door.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, you know, there's some sort of information passed on between today and tomorrow. That's the time that you have left.
Right.
I don't want to lose the opportunity to talk about the Christmas break issue, though, because I know more than anybody else, parents are like, you know, do they have 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Is this always going to be the trend? And it's an interesting scenario, actually, because we have been giving 3 weeks vacation for Christmas when the rules actually allow for 2. Am I right in my interpretation of that?
It depends on how Christmas Day falls.
Okay.
So if it falls after the Wednesday, then the vacation begins the week before, the Monday before. And so this year it falls on a Wednesday. The rule doesn't say if it falls on a Wednesday. It speaks to
After or before.
After, before.
And so then if we go by the way the rule says, when we look at the calendar, then it would mean that classes would have been held up until the 20th, I believe.
Right, the 20th of
And then you
December.
begin classes on the, begin vacation on the 23rd. That would give us just 2 weeks. But as you said, we have been accustomed to having 3 weeks for Christmas break, and that was the thing. This is
It was a tradition that was maintained.
precedent, as they would say, you know, and so that was what we raised. And so again, despite the fact that the way the rules are written, and when you go through them and you read them and you follow your calendar, it would be 2 weeks indeed. But again, as per usual, we have not been enforcing the rules. And then you come suddenly and you say, okay, this year, that's it. It creates some issues because, you know, schools have made their calendars, everything have been put together because you have been accustomed to these 3 weeks.
And even parents, they plan their Christmas.
They've planned their Christmas, they've bought tickets to go away to be with family, so it was a concern.
And so it was undone. Right?
Right, the memo said 3 weeks, but now we have to make it legal.
And now we're going to formalize what's going to happen with Christmas break. Either you'll clarify the rule with more detail or just maintain
the 3 weeks.
The 3 weeks.
And hopefully that is what will happen. We'll maintain the 3 weeks.
Well, that is to be seen on Monday, I suppose. You know, go ahead.
I think, you know, to your question earlier, you know, as I had said before, we will see how Monday goes, and depending on the response that we get on Monday, then we will determine what needs to be done next. Because there can always be challenges.
You know, 2019, we looked at a number of issues, and this is just one. You know, I remember starting off the year looking at the hardship allowances and the challenges that were taking place there. I think the story of the teachers from Grand Creek is just etched in everyone's mind as to how grateful we need to be for easy access to a workplace. Can you give us an update on how things are going with that? Because that was a priority issue early in this year.
we still have some schools who are not satisfied with
Yeah.
the category that they have been placed in, because there were some changes to the categories.
Yeah.
So they were looking at the fact that in some areas, you know, they have better streets now, or better highways, or better roads, a little bit more access to transportation. Some areas have school buses, but they are not looking at the fact of how early teachers have to leave from home.
Yeah.
Some of them leave home at 6 o'clock in the morning. They get back home at 6 in the evening. You know, the fact that you have to take your cold lunch to school, you know, all of these other things. There's no hospitals or centers around, that, you know, these kinds of things. And so some of the categories were changed. Keeping in mind that when we sit around that table, there are other partners there with us. And so there are 3 of us from union, and then we have about 3, 6, and 9 more persons who are there. So everything goes to a vote. So we are in the minority. And so some of the changes our members have not accepted. And what we've said to them, or what we've agreed to at the joint staff committee level, that if any school doesn't agree with the category that they've been placed in, that they could write to the CEO, and the committee would then review based on what they write. So you have to write and give us your scenario.
Yeah.
Because we have to understand that some of the persons who sit around these tables and make these decisions are persons who don't know these areas. They don't know what our teachers go through on a daily basis to get to and from school. But they are the ones, or we are the ones making the decisions. Hence the reason we have embarked, or I have embarked in visiting every school if possible, so that I can see first what our teachers are going through. That when I speak, I can say, I know for sure that Marlene has to walk through mud and water. She has to walk 6 miles, that kind of thing, because we've been there.
Yeah.
And so that has been a concern. How can persons who don't know the area, some of our general managers don't know or haven't been to their schools, to some of their schools. So, you know, so how can you sit and say you deserve to be a category 1 or a 2 or a 3 when you've not been to those areas? So these teachers now have a second chance to write in, explain their situations, you know, every little detail. The committee will then review, and hopefully we can get our managements and our ministry to then, you know, see what it is that they are saying and make a change to the category that they've been in.
Yeah, you know, and there's another thought that crossed my mind in terms of hardship, because yes, we definitely do see the scenarios where people are trudging through mud to get to the workplace and spending a full week there. But there are also other rural areas that, yes, there may be road access, but transportation and the time means that they go for 12 hours or more for the day. In other words, you can't catch an 8 o'clock bus, you have to catch a 6 o'clock bus. And you can't come home on the 4 o'clock bus if school finishes at or 3. You have to come home at the later bus. And so, yes, you have access to transportation. Are those also included? Because that's looking at an extended time on the job, which also has financial implications to the teachers, babysitter, who takes the kid to school, all these other things.
And again, those, we've said to them, we can't be strict. It is difficult for us to use 1 or 2 situations to say this is what hardship looks like.
Yeah.
Because you might not look at that as hardship, but that is hardship. I have to leave I am up at 4 in the morning, I have to prepare my food to leave for my children because I teach in a rural area, my children are in town, that kind of, you know, so all of those things. But again, some of the persons don't see those things as adding to hardship or as reasons to classify as hardship. And so those have been the arguments that we've had. I mean, when you, some of these places, you have 2 buses going or 3 buses going.
That's right.
And they leave at 11, they leave at midday, they leave at 1 o'clock. So how will you catch, and especially on paydays, because remember this is tied to your payday. So if you get a half day or you dismiss at 2:30 and you're on the highway, for example, James bus comes every hour. So you dismiss at 2:30, the bus passes at 3:30. By the time you get to town, it's 4 o'clock, almost 4:30, banks will almost be closed. You can't get to the bank and the credit union and the BL, and you can't do any of those things. And so those are things that we say to them, if the teachers are given the time that they were being given before, it will lessen the absenteeism from schools, because now I can say to my teacher, listen, you have this half day to go and do your business. So don't come here next week and ask me for Monday to go to my baby school to check on the report card, or you know, or to check on something, because you have this time. Do all of those things at this time.
So that's being reassessed, the hardship.
For a few of them who have written in, there are a few
Okay.
schools who have written in who are not satisfied.
Yeah.
Some schools, you know, it's funny because there are some schools that we were fighting for to keep where they were. And then when you spoke to the principal or some of the teachers, well, you know what, miss, yes, we were given a half a day, but you know what, we've not been taking it, you know, we go the whole day, so it really doesn't matter to us, we are okay.
Okay.
And here we are. And then there are some who are fighting for the half day, and that was taken away from them.
Yeah.
So we do have some who are satisfied, and we have some who are not satisfied.
All right. Well, we're going to be closing off 2019, and clearly you have some important meetings coming up, and we'll see what those education rule amendments will look like. But looking forward, you know, I know that there's a lot of strategy involved in terms of what you want to achieve as a union. What are some of the priority areas we're looking at as we move into 2020?
We are currently going through our constitution, doing a review of that. There's a plan in place. We have an officers seminar coming up in December, you know, where we'll be looking at the union as a whole, you know, reviewing our theme that we had for our convention, you know, being bold, being resolute, and see, you know, how we've been with that. Sort of a review of what we've been doing and what we need to do, an action plan going forward. And we also need to look at a strategic plan, because the one that we had, you know, that has concluded, and so we need to have another one now for the next 5 years or so. I think we also need to look at, review our vision and our mission, and see if it is that, you know, there needs to be any amendments to our vision as a union. You know, have we passed where we are now, and do we need to put a new vision in place for the union?
Yeah.
Next year we celebrate our 50th anniversary as a union, and so that is a huge thing for us. And so we are hoping that early in the year we can start with our celebrations, leading up to July 20th when we celebrate our 50th anniversary. And we are hoping that we will have partners who will see it fit to partner with us, you know, as we showcase 50 years of BNTU, you know, as we showcase what we've done for our members, for our country, and hopefully help us, you know, joining us and celebrating with us those 50 years. Because 50 doesn't come so easy, whether you're celebrating years of life or celebrating anniversary as an organization. It doesn't come easy, so it has to be celebrated.
So we will definitely look forward to that in 2020. Thank you for coming in and giving us this update, and we'll definitely pay attention to what unfolds on Monday.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us. And may we take the time to wish our teachers, you know, compliments of the season, and we trust that all will be well over this Christmas break. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking to representatives of NAPA about their reopening. So please stay tuned. And we're back, and we're moving into our second conversation for today. We are joined by the manager of Napa Truck and Auto Parts, John Key. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are great and ready to find out more about the grand reopening of Napa.
Yes, the Napa store has been in Belize for a number of years. It was on Coney Drive for many years, and it's no longer there. It was moved about a year ago up Goldston Highway, 3.5 mile marker, basically Benny's Apartments.
Okay.
Okay, and so we kind of call it the best kept secret in Belize, because everyone still thinks it's on Coney Drive, but it's not. It's on Goldston Highway. And I came here, I've been here since March, and the store was there, you know, the Napa store is owned by Belize Estates, and Belize Estates, of course, was part of Bowen & Bowen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the store had basically been there for a number of years just to service their own in-house fleet. And we decided to take it and make it a viable store for everyone.
Yeah.
So what we did was we doubled the size of the space we had in the building, ran in about over double the inventory, about 4,000 to 5,000 new part numbers. Okay.
Now, Napa is an international brand.
Yes.
And so this is kind of an outlet here in Belize.
Yes.
And so it means that you want to maintain certain standards and quality and expectations that you would have with an international brand.
Yes.
That's part of your role here.
Yes.
So talk to me about what the brand represents internationally and how you're able to do that here in Belize.
You know, the name Napa is National Auto Parts Association, started in Georgia many years ago. Napa is very unique. There's 6,600 Napas worldwide.
Yeah.
Of that, over 6,000 are privately owned, because they believe that private owners in their market knows what the market requires, knows their customers, and is part of the family of that area. So that's why this store is privately owned. And the one thing that we do, that Napa does, and they're very emphatic on this, is they stand behind their products.
Yeah.
Okay, I've found since I've been here that within Belize, there's been, if you have a problem with a part, there's not a lot of warranties. Okay. Basically, everything I sell has a warranty. Okay, and we stand behind our parts.
Yeah.
Okay, we emphatically stand behind our parts. So if there's a problem, first off, sometimes the problem is not because of the part, it's because of something else. So we try to help you find that ultimate answer.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question. How do you put a warranty on a part where I could be diagnosing my own problem and coming in and getting the part, asking someone to swap it out, to install it, and I still have a problem? How do you put a warranty on that? I may just have not fixed the right problem.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunately in today's environment with cars. There's, you know, it used to be anyone could fix them, but now they've become so complex.
Yeah.
With all the electronics and all the computers, it really takes a mechanic with the proper equipment to properly diagnose the problem.
Okay.
Because you could say, you know, on an engine, you think it was this sensor here, but ultimately it's the sensor downstream that's causing the ultimate problem. So, you know, instead of changing one part at a time, it's best to, you know, to properly diagnose your car.
Yeah. Okay. So to get the warranty, you have to have a proper diagnosis.
Well, here again, a lot of parts, a water pump, things like that, there's not a lot of diagnosis going on. You know, like I said, we stand behind what we sell.
Yeah.
And right now, if someone buys whatever part it is, and they come back and say it doesn't work, we're going to take care of the problem.
Okay.
Now, if they take the next part and it doesn't work, then we're going to have to say, listen, let's look for the ultimate solution here, and we'll try to help walk them through that.
Okay. Nice.
And do you think that, you know, based on like Napa's business model, that you've been able to, like, you know, over the years, been able to cater to the specific needs of let's say, the Belizean market or people?
Over the years, you know, like I said, it's been very spotty what they've done. Now there's several things we really specialize in. First off, Big trucks, obviously.
Yeah.
Any kind of big truck parts, that's what we've been doing for years.
Yeah.
We also do paint, automotive paint. I've got it. And that's a whole new world. That's a world, these guys, the guys that mix this paint are really artists because they have to match. And you know, cars tend to fade a little bit over time. So I watch these guys actually mix it up. They take it out, they hold it next to the car and make sure they're satisfied. That's an art form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have, very unique to Napa, we can take the color of your car and actually mix it up and put it in a spray can. Okay? So in other words, it's in a spray can and it's all there. We call it single stage. And it's the paint, it's the hardener, it's everything including the clear coat. And so, and that's something unique that we have, and we do that in-house here.
Yeah, yeah. So clearly, you have expanded the product lines that you you now offer.
Yes.
And you clearly stated that because it was a privately owned company, it kind of had just one market it was catering to, and
Yes.
that was the fleet from
Yes.
Bowen Bowen. Now you're trying to expand to everybody's
Right.
car, the Belizean fleet collectively. And that includes quite a diverse range of cars. I mean, we have a lot of third-hand, fourth-hand cars that are in the country.
Yes.
Some are decades old, some are newer, some are third world specific. How are you able to really be able to offer for everybody?
That is, you know, the North American cars were easy, okay? Napa, you know, Napa helped me build the inventory.
Yeah.
They came down, and I went there, and we built the inventory. North American cars were easy. The third world cars are, shall we say, and I won't mislead people. The third world vehicles are a work in progress. Okay, Napa has some of the parts. They're developing more. I was recently at a meeting in Miami, and they're working on getting more and more into it. But what they don't have, I've had to go out and find alternate sources.
Yeah.
Which you see, being a Napa store, I don't have to, if they don't have it, then I can go out and source it.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the challenge with the third world vehicles? Because many find them more convenient to drive around Belize.
The challenge is that the parts supply has been kind of non-existent. You know, it's a hit or miss, and there's also something that's going on. There's a lot of junk out there. Okay, there's a lot of junk. Like we call it white box, and so they're substandard parts. Everything we sell meets original equipment specifications.
Yeah.
Okay, but that means it's not, you know, it's designed and built to meet the exact performance of that part when you bought your car. There's a lot of junk out there that's just plain cheap. And we're also starting to run into some stuff that's, the box may say a national name, but inside the box, it's not. Okay, so there's a little, shall we say, bootlegging. I call it bootlegging. Okay, and we're starting to, I've seen a couple of those areas. So, and we're working on all of this. The third world cars, yes, they are a challenge for us. We are working into them. Every day I get a little bit better at it. So,
so for now, you may just be able to kind of help them place an order and try to get it in country.
Right.
And that was my next question, because there's nothing more frustrating than needing to fix your car and you have to hear that it's not available in country. You have to wait 2-3 weeks for an order to be placed and for you to retrieve the part. What are we doing to kind of alleviate the wait time?
Well, I get air shipments once a week out of Miami.
Okay.
I can order, I think by Monday afternoon, it comes in. By the time it gets through customs, it's Friday afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. This whole customs thing for me is a new world, okay? So I'm kind of figuring that one out as we go.
Yeah.
Stock shipments, I place stock orders, they come about 3 weeks on the boat.
Yeah.
But if it's an emergency, say it's a crisis, an ambulance, a fire truck, something that is critical,
Yeah.
I can actually get parts here. If I knew early enough in the day, I can actually get them here overnight.
Okay.
with the
That's
shipping
good to know.
season coming on and having 2 ships,
Yeah.
then you can also bring things by ship in a couple of days as well. So
Yeah.
that should kick in.
Excellent. And we have Henry Anderson with us now. He is the general manager for Napa. And so we've been chit-chatting with John about what we can expect with the new store, what types, how it has changed from what it was traditionally known as. First thing first, it's not on Coney Drive. I think we still call that the Napa corner. That's just a point of reference for us, but now you're on the Northern Highway. But talk to us about improving user experience and what you're doing there.
All right. We've put a lot of training into the team that we have there.
Yeah.
All right. There's a reward system, and what we're trying to do, or what we're doing, is to bring the Napa brand to Belize. We want Belizeans to realize that the Napa that we have is the same Napa that you see on TV. Napa has a rewards program, so when you go in to purchase, all right, you get points, and when you get points, you get rebates. I think John, you would have spoken about the warranties and everything like that, right? For the mechanics and the auto shops, we have the auto care program, all right? And with that, besides getting credits to get better prices, they also get training, access to technical data to assist them in improving how they repair the cars. The same thing with the body and paint shops. I don't know if you have spoken about paints yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so all of those things we are bringing in, right? So far, we have brought the team from Napa to Belize in this year about 4 times. And every time they come, they do a training session for the technical people in the market.
Yeah.
Eventually, we will broaden that to do it yourself first, because you know you have that segment out there to be able to provide and things like that. Napa also has a very cool website called ProLink. So if you are a commercial customer, we install that in your store, and you know everything that we have in the inventory here. And if it's not in our inventory, in Miami, in the DC, that supports us. No?
Yeah.
I'd just like to add something that just yesterday we got a list from Napa with all of the third world parts. That's something that they're expanding. Right? The Napa in Miami that we're linked to, it's for Florida, but it's also for Latin America and the Caribbean, which have the same influx of what they call the third world vehicle, or the non-North American vehicles, right? So that is not something that is slow in coming. That's something that they're aggressively pushing and expanding the part numbers and things like that. So we got a whole database of stuff that they have right now, and they're like every month they're expanding. We did market research on the vehicles in Belize. We provided that with them.
Yeah.
We have our own customer base, so we pull all the VIN numbers from that. We give it to them, and then they're starting to source those parts. So it's a massive push by Napa to be able to support it. It's not like we're in Belize and we need these things and they're
you're
out
guessing.
there. No.
Yeah.
It's a big part of the Southeast Napa market is external, right?
Yeah.
Outside the U.S. So that's a big thing for them right now.
So you did market research on our Belizean fleet. Tell us, what are you finding?
Well, that's competitive information.
No, I just mean, it's important to know because.
Well, that's how we decided how to expand the.
I did a lot of driving around looking at vehicles.
And your thoughts?
My thoughts? There's a lot of cars in Belize. Okay.
Yeah.
You get about 8,000 used cars coming in per year, and those are coming out of the U.S. Right? So that's in the North American sphere. Right?
And that's what I was getting at, because I think that a lot of times people are buying these second-hand vehicles and they don't always know the history. I mean, you always talk about going back and getting the history of the vehicle. People are concerned about what type of damage they might come in with, what you don't know, because there's what you'll be told and what you don't know. And how much does that make for a challenge for a store like Napa and being able to help people to get the cars back in shape?
Well, John is a Napa expert, but once he has the VIN, or the guys at Napa have the VIN number, that's it. They know exactly what you need and everything else. Right?
You see, Napa, it's almost like a family, okay? The corporation cares about its customers. We care about the people in our community because we live here, we work here.
Yeah.
One of the things this weekend at the open house, there's actually 5 people coming out of Miami to come down to be with us. The general manager of the south of the warehouse in Miami is coming down. The gentleman that we call the territory sales manager is coming down. He calls on me. And we're also bringing 3, within Napa there's groups, and we're bringing in 3 representatives from various groups, brakes, tools, and heavy duty.
Yeah.
And they're all going to be here. They're all going to be on site. to talk to people and answer any questions. But the one thing they do is they give us support. Okay, and they don't let us, great, you're an Apple store, have a nice day. They don't do that. Okay.
You're going to make sure you're delivering the quality that is expected.
Right.
Yeah.
And if a customer is looking for a part, they get in the conversation.
Yeah.
And that kind of
I actually have a phone number for every manufacturer. If there's a problem, and if I see a problem with a part, I will call that manufacturer. They'll be in touch with a technical person, and we will work through. And there's been occasions where they've actually said, "We've got a problem," and have actually gone in and taken that part off the market till they get it fixed.
That was going to be my next question in terms of, like following up and maintaining, customer satisfaction and keeping people coming back.
Yes.
So is it that clearly is an important feature for you? So how do you, how do you follow up and make sure that your customers stay satisfied?
Well, I think the easiest way is that they don't come back.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If they don't come, or if they come back again to purchase something else.
Yeah.
Okay. The most important thing is that the store has been redesigned inside to make it more user friendly.
Yeah.
Okay. It's important that everyone that walks in that door, and I'm pretty emphatic on this, to say hello, how are you?
Yep.
How often do you go to a store and there's a giant chain in the States that's going out of business because you literally have to go find someone to take your money. Okay? So you're there, you're in our store for a reason.
Yeah.
And so we want you to feel as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
And we want to help you as best we can. And over the years, women have become a very large portion of the market. Okay? And so it used to be, auto parts stores were dark and dingy and greasy. Okay? It's just how it was. And so you'll find when you come into our store, it's well lit.
Yeah.
The product is displayed, and you feel comfortable being there. There's not some guy with a dirty T-shirt behind the counter looking, looking to help you. So we try to make the shopping experience for everyone a good experience.
Yeah. And I think it's key because very often, if you're not a professional going into the store, you do need some help. And so having someone there who is trained in customer service to welcome you and to assist you in finding what you need is going to be so much more helpful. So the grand opening happens this weekend.
Yes.
What are we going to expect at this big celebration?
All right, so we're calling it a reopening because we're bringing it back, right? We're going to have, it's a family affair, so it's from 9 to 4.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have Blue Steel Songs, putting the music in. Miss Debs with the food. Miss Debs has all the great food, and so she's coming out with us. Bouncy house and that kind of thing for the kids. We're going to have a lot of giveaways. We're going to have raffles.
Yeah.
So it's to come down and learn and be a part of that. In that area, I must say, will be a lot of activity because next door, our friends and competitors to some extent, Caribbean Tire will be having their big tire thing. So you could stop in at the Napa store and then you go over there and get your tires and all of that stuff.
Make a day of it.
Yeah. It's a take care of your car day.
Right. We have for the hardcore tools guys, we have a raffle that's going to go up until about the 23rd, I believe.
Yes.
Right, and it's a Craftsman tool pan, a nice big one.
Nice.
So for every $25 you spend, you get a chance to win.
Yeah.
So you can come in for that. For the kids, we're going to have cars and different Napa branded items that we're giving away and stuff like that. So it would be cool. Nice. Have you spoken about your Napa truck that you deliver with?
I haven't. We actually, the one thing when I got here, you see where I came from, large commercial base, we delivered.
Yeah.
And here, no one delivered. So what was happening is the mechanics were having to stop what they were doing, drive to a parts store, get the part, and drive back, and they were losing time.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one thing we have done is we have a delivery vehicle.
Oh.
So we deliver to commercial accounts. Okay, and it's kind of cute. It's a little van, and I was able to get the Napa graphics for it, and on the top it has, I'm sure you've seen the ads with the hat.
Yes, welcome.
We have the hat on it. Okay?
Nice.
So it's kind of a conversation piece.
Yeah.
But we do that, like I said, and our goal is so the people who are working don't have to stop and waste time.
Yeah.
They can call us and say there's something. We do a lot of matching. Okay, they can call and say, I need this matched.
Yeah.
We go, we pick it up, we match it, we take them back to part.
Yeah.
See,
What I hear from you is a shift in focus, which we don't see very often in Belize, where you're customer oriented. Because a simple thought of recognizing that a mechanic has to get up and go get the part, and most likely will go to the closer one, because they want to save time, is recognizing where the needs of your customers are, and you're trying to meet that. So that's for a promising start.
We have the largest, one of the largest, or the largest shop in Belize to fix vehicles. So
Yeah.
we know that all too well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we touched this, but the store is now, we've been talking auto. It's auto and truck parts. So we also carry stuff for the big trucks.
Big trucks, yeah.
As well.
yeah.
right?
There's one other thing that we do is for commercial people, construction, commercial, we make hydraulic hoses. Okay, any kind of a piece of equipment has a hydraulics in it.
Yeah.
And the hoses tend to wear out and break. And so we are making those now. And that's also something, if you're out, and you need a hose instead of having it, and first off, when the guys come, there's one guy never comes, there's always two, okay? So you're losing two guys for 2 hours, so you call us, we pick up your hose, we rebuild it, we take it back to you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anybody who goes out to the reopening this weekend will be able to see just the difference that you've made in the new store, and also get an idea of all the services that will be offered.
We're trying to, that is our goal.
Yeah.
And to let people know that it's family oriented, and I'm a guest in Belize. Okay, so I've kind of come in kind of quietly because I am a guest. There's nothing worse than somebody blowing from out of town like they're going to set the world on fire.
Yeah.
So I'm a guest. Where I came from is very similar to Belize. I came from Key West, Florida. So the climate is identical.
Yeah.
The traffic.
Island life is similar, you said?
Yes, it's kind of similar. A little laid back. The roads, the driving is very similar without the speed bumps. Okay. Speed bumps are a whole.
Clearly, you're a fan of those, aren't you?
My car is.
Give some business.
I was going to say.
My car is currently in the shop going through some serious work.
Yeah.
But no, so I came from a small area, and so I believe what we're doing, and like I said, I'm here to get the store set up and to train the people, and then this store is owned by Belizeans, and it's going to be run by Belizeans.
So Napa is owned by BC. That's why I'm here, right? And we're part of the Bowen and Bowen Group, and the mission of the group is to pursue excellence for a better Belize. And that's something that our board and our owner takes very, very seriously. So when I was brought on and we got John to come in, it's to expand Napa, not only here in Belize, but to put a national footprint. Okay, so it's coming, we will expand it and roll it out over the next 3 years across the country. And what we want Belizeans to understand that, as John was mentioning earlier, we're seeing where we're getting testimonials where, in the case of some filters, the people bought what they thought was X filter, they got Y filter, and it seized an engine and cost like $19,000 worth of damage. So Belizeans should get better service, all right? We should get warranties, we should have that experience. So I invite everybody, come down, get to know us. We are relaunching the store, but it's a dynamic thing. As we understand what you need, we expand what we do to ensure that we get the right mix over time.
Yeah.
And essentially, our value proposition is that when you buy it from us, as John said, you don't have to come back for the same thing. If there's a rare case that something is wrong with it, the Napa warranty is not only for the part, but also for the labor to fix it, depending on what it is you're buying. So it's the same things that we never ever have here in terms of service.
Yeah.
With Napa, it's the same Napa you're getting here.
There's one thing I should add. Everyone says, well, Napa's so expensive, okay? And in the States, that was the same thing. A number of years ago, Napa went through a whole looking at what they were doing and went through a lot of things to become more competitive in the marketplace.
They expanded. Really.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you that I'm not always going to be the cheapest guy in town, okay? I'll be competitive, okay? But there's a reason why, maybe my part is a couple dollars more. Do you want to buy the one that's cheaper and replace it every 6 months, or you want to buy mine and be done with it?
I have a warranty if it doesn't work.
So,
Well, especially in the business world, it's about uptime, right? You can't have your vehicle down. That's what NAPA stand behind, uptime.
So it takes place this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Starting at?
9 to 4.
Okay, and it's a family event.
Yes.
Music,
Family event.
food, kids section.
Right, bouncy house, face painting, bubble machine, all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
raffles taking place,
Right.
and of course an opportunity to see the brand new store and get to know the people who are working there.
Right, start the relationship.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in and telling us all about it.
it's been great, and I've enjoyed being here.
All right. We are going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
No tricks, no illusions.
All right, and we're back in a bit of a schedule change. We're not going to be able to have our DJs with us this morning, but we did want to take the time to give you a bit of a reminder. Kevin, do you know what's coming up this weekend?
I think I do.
You think you do?
Yeah, of course. We've got our Miss Universe competition, and it's going to be super, super exciting.
Yeah.
You know, and of course, we at Open Your Eyes definitely have to big up and throw out an extra message of support for our Miss Belize, Destiny Arnold.
Right. I gotta say, you know, we had the opportunity to chat with her before, after the pageant. And here's the thing about Destiny. She's been in the pageant circuit in Belize for a while. And so we've seen her competing on different stages. It's great to see her now on what was really, I think, a dream of hers, and being able to get to the Miss Universe stage. The photos she's been sharing, she looks gorgeous.
I know. And you know, like you said, she's been on the circuit for a while, and I think now that she's finally got, you know, the big crown, at least for Belize, it's great to always watch a success journey.
Yeah.
You know, when you see from somebody who started over the years to now where she's at now, where she's really sort of polished and refined, and we definitely see the results in the photos, as you say, and like videos that have been shared on social media. You can see her walking and, you know, speaking, of course, because she's, of course, an intelligent young woman in addition to being, you know, obviously beautiful. So yeah, definitely that's going to be a really exciting competition to watch.
Well, the preliminaries are starting, and so that's going to be the beginning of the competition. The actual Miss Universe pageant is going to take place on Sunday, and so Sunday night. I think it's around 6 or 7 on Fox, and so you'd be able to see it there. I know everyone is really excited. The good part is that I think we'll have enough, we'll have more support than we usually do in the audience. It's in Atlanta. So it's fairly easy. The Belizeans who live in that area, and there's some who are going to travel there because it's a lot closer than going to the other side of the world. It's at the new Tyler Perry Studios, interestingly enough. And, you know, I think, well, I have to be honest, there are two schools of people when it comes to Miss Universe, and there's some who kind of just tune in around this time when it's the preliminaries and the actual pageant. I must confess I'm one of those.
Yeah, so am I.
And then there are those who I know very closely who are pageant junkies. Like, they follow everything, and they'll tell me about walks and, you know, poses and whatnot. And according to those people, Destiny is really outshining, is really shining in her presentation. So I think that we are always hopeful. I want to be honest and say, I know that we enter into the competitions very often as an underdog because we don't come from a culture where we are raising and training pageant queens from a very young age. But Destiny has been doing this for a while, which gives her a competitive advantage over other queens that have represented us. And I am absolutely ready to root for her in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, so am I. And I think it's, you know, what you're saying also brings home the point that, you know, when we send, you know, whether it's, you know, people in pageants, whether it's in athletes or something, when they're competing on an international stage, we know how high the stakes are.
Yeah.
And as you know, rightly say, we're often an underdog because a lot of the time we don't have the resources, the training and stuff that a lot of people do, because people don't automatically realize this, but like pageants are super expensive to be in. I mean, from the number of, just from the clothes alone, and I would imagine, you know, I guess makeup and hair and all of this, and then all the time that you have to invest in, you know, learning how to, you know, posture and how to walk and how to speak, how to present yourself in such a way that you can compete with
how to smile, how to pose.
And you're competing with over 100, you know, I think it's almost 200 countries who participate in this pageant. And a lot of the times you have the big competitors like Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, India, the people who have been winning. And
some of them have been training since they came out of womb,
exactly.
the mother's womb. And let's be honest, to be really honest here, some of them are enhancing themselves. Thank you. You knew what I was going to say. Enhancing themselves to have the best possible look for the stage too. I'm glad to see beauty pageants changing over the years as well. We've seen where they've kind of shifted from the stereotypical look to just, I mean, Destiny's rocking her natural curls. We've seen people with dreadlocks. We've seen people with buzz cuts. We've seen different sizes. So we're maturing in terms of, I mean globally, we're maturing globally in our view of what represents beauty. And so that's always good to know. But nonetheless, the competition takes place. It's not just about walk and dress. It's about interviews. It's going to be about her cultural costume, which I believe is going to be representing the Garifuna culture, which should be interesting. And so we're going to see how it goes. And we're wishing her the absolute best. Now, there is a way you can do your part, and that's the critical part that we have to talk about here. So there's an online poll for you to secure a spot in the top 20. And you have to go to the Miss Universe website and vote for Belize. There it is, right there. So you're going to go and you're going to vote for her. Now, here's the thing. The first vote is free. The rest, you have to pay for. So if you're really rallying for Miss Belize, then you can go ahead and purchase additional votes so that you can be able to help her make it to the top.
Or if not, you can just make sure you tell everyone you know, to get online and, put those votes in for her as well.
Yeah. No, Miss Universe, and I got to be honest too, Miss Universe pageant itself is under a lot of flack in terms of some of the charges they've been adding, viewing the preliminaries, voting, these things. But it is a business. Yeah. I think sometimes we got to keep sight of these things. But nonetheless, Destiny Arnold will walk on that stage, not just representing herself and her hard work, but all of us. And so definitely encouraging you to show your support as well. And if you don't want to pay for votes, at least do the one and do our part.
Yep.
All right, great. So we're going to go ahead, I believe. Are we going to take a break or just wrap it up here? Okay, so that's all the time we have for today. All right, so if you want to get in touch with us, send us an email, oye@channel5belize.com. Drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram
at OIE Belize.
All right, remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
And start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your heart
open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.